I would be remiss without recognizing who we are here for today. And this is our children's opportunity to thank those of you who came into our class this year. And you allowed us an opportunity that is rare in education, and that is to have a history lesson from the person who experienced it right in front of us firsthand. I will first recognize Andy McTeague and Katie, Navy SEAL, and he's also a good friend and neighbor of 25 years. And we welcomed Mrs. Haifam and her husband, Mr. Tu. Hear about their journey. They have been married for 56 years, and talk about life goals, they are done. We welcomed and came from Colorado. We have a good dear friend who's becoming a dear friend. We have U.S. Army Ranger Dan Barlow, who also served during the Vietnam War. Early on, we welcomed Grace's great uncle, who taught us lessons that we will never ever forget. Mr. McLean. And of course, there are beyond words. We have Lieutenant Colonel Robert J. Friend, Tuskegee Airman and veteran of World War II. And don't let his fancy appearance fool you. He has a sense of humor like nobody's business. And we had more fun having you in, and the kids, you will hear, the kids remembered every little detail, so thank you. And today, because this is the third gratitude project, we are welcoming back members who have been here with us in the past. I see Mr. Pham, Clarkson's grandfather from 2015. And is Mr. Dang with us today? Mr. Dang, was he able to come? Mr. Dang, you're right there. And Lloyd Miller. Lloyd Miller, who served in the U.S. Army, and who was also one of us in 2015. And we're welcoming back Lieutenant Colonel Friend and Andy McTeague, who were here with us last year, so this is a repeat for both of them, but we also were privileged to hear from my dearest friend, Susie Ittrick, who came and spoke with us last year as a daughter of a serviceman who was killed during the Vietnam War. So Susie, will you say hello? So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Keller soon, but I do want to say that what first started out as a project asking the question, is there gratitude in the aftermath of war? Is there gratitude in the aftermath of life's greatest hardships? I think the 68 sixth graders would definitely say that question has been answered. Yes, there definitely is. But this year, we challenged them to really examine what power does gratitude have. And I think, Lindsay, you said it best, that when you wrote, gratitude has the power to show a person inner strength that they never knew they had. In a conversation I had early on with Mrs. Griffith about what we're trying to do with kids today in education, she challenged us. We shouldn't be asking them, what do you want to be when you grow up? That question's so old. We got to leave that one behind. Instead, we need to ask them, what problem do you want to solve? And what are you going to need to solve that problem? That's their mindset. They need to see their future not as a pathway that's been set for them, but something that they are able to follow their passion and accomplish something that is early on important to them. And what you're going to hear is their writing the privilege of the job I have is to read 68 students' reflections on their experience. The words that they shared with you today and what you'll see later on are their words. They're not from the adults. And from that, I see that the mission has been accomplished. They understand what is going to be necessary for them to solve problems in the future. They're going to need inner strength. They're going to need the ability to relate to people, bond. Your words were not lost on them, and they're very, very grateful, and so are we. Mr. Keller?
Well, I feel like one of the luckiest teachers, definitely in the district, just to be working alongside Valerie Del Carlo. She is an amazing woman in so many ways, and such a good teacher. And I look up to you as a mentor, as somebody who always puts optimism first. And it's not easy in this world. We tend to complain, I know I do, about the silliest things, and so it's such an honor to be teaching with you and to be reminded every day of what's good in life, and we saw that this year. I know the students were able to see that this year through the Gratitude Project. I'm impacted every year that I'm a part of this, so I'm so thankful to being a part of this. I get this question a lot when I'm talking with friends or I'm meeting people, and they always ask what I do for a living, and I tell them I'm a 6th grade teacher, and their immediate facial expression tells it all. Whoa, you're brave. And I say, you know what? I've got the best job in the world. We talk about this all the time. We've got the best job in the world. We get to work with kids who get it. They're maturing, and they're growing up, and we see such a transformation in this 6th grade year. I'm so fortunate. We are so fortunate to be doing what we're doing. The question I get from students often that I love, and this is another perk to teaching 6th grade, is when I'm teaching a lesson, I often hear this question, Mr. Keller, why are we doing this? Which is probably why the people I meet say, oh, you're so brave. They have such attitudes. And I say, no, that's a great question. Why are we doing this? And if I can't answer that question quickly and immediately, then I've got to start questioning myself and what I'm teaching. Am I being effective? Is this valuable to the lives of these kids? I can say with certainty that the Gratitude Project is so valuable. I've never had a question, Mr. Keller, why are we doing the Gratitude Project? Because they get it. They get it right away. You're about to see the fruits of everything that they've gone through, everything that they've learned and experienced this year. It is really powerful. So I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you're a part of this. And without further ado, we're going to get started. We're going to let the students take over. Okay, Catherine, come on.
Thank you for coming today to share in our celebration of the Gratitude Project 2017. This year, the question was not, is there gratitude in the aftermath of war, or is there gratitude in the aftermath of life's greatest challenges? Instead, our teachers challenged us to discover that gratitude is always present in some form. They asked us to explore and prove the power of gratitude. As part of our research, we welcomed into our classroom 6 individuals who generously shared their wisdom and life experience. Now we will pay tribute to them by sharing some of our writing.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah. Speaking about his childhood, Lieutenant Colonel Friend described him as a prankster. He would play jokes on his cousin and say things like, "I'll take your cow and tie him on the train track." Growing up, Charles Lindbergh was his hero, and for as long as he could remember, he wanted to be a pilot. He would look at the planes in the sky above New York City and sit and wonder, how do they find people small enough to get into those airplanes? Lieutenant Colonel Friend is really funny.
My name is Alex. Lieutenant Colonel Friend was in college when World War II was just about to get started, so he joined the CPT, or Civil Pilot Training Program. Once he had his pilot's license, he was sent to training at Tuskegee, Alabama, the one military flight school for anyone who was not white. As a red tail, he flew many dangerous missions supporting the U.S. bombers. Even during this time, he faced racism from others, from a sheriff who didn't believe he was the man in charge to other U.S. pilots. On December 12, 1944, a horrible storm grounded all flights over Europe. 10 U.S. bombers were forced to land and take shelter at Lieutenant Colonel Friend's base in Italy. The pilot who was assigned to share a tent with them said, "I didn't even know they had any pilots over here that weren't white." Instead of being angry, Lieutenant Colonel Friend sees interactions like these as the way a person learns and changes. His sense of humor and gratitude for opportunity helped him overcome racism.
My name is Jasmine. Lieutenant Colonel Friend faced discrimination. He faced people who thought he was less than because he wasn't white. His interview influenced me to realize that we are all human despite our skin color, race, or religion. We should not be ashamed of where our relatives come from. Lieutenant Colonel Friend proves that gratitude has the power to change a person's perspective.
Hi, my name is Yafi. Luc Wing Nguyen's father was a Christian pastor and a target of the communists. Before the war, his family was forced to flee Vietnam to live in Cambodia. He grew up learning Cambodian, English, and French, as well as Vietnamese. Though he did not finish high school, his knowledge of languages allowed him to become an interpreter for the U.S. Special Forces. But Mr. Nguyen did not want to be known as a high school dropout. He had purchased books from local villages, stuffed them in his pockets, and studied every chance he had, usually at night in a machine gun bunker, so that the enemy would not see the light from his candle. Eventually, he passed high school and college entrance exams and became a lawyer.
Hi, my name is Ken. In April 1975, Luc Nguyen had the chance to escape Vietnam. As someone who worked with the United States, he was offered to escape to America for himself, his wife, and his 2 children. However, he had a total of 40 family members. He decided that if they all couldn't go, he had to decline. As a result, he had to suffer in a great education camp for many years.
Hi, my name is Charlene. Mr. Nguyen tried to escape 7 times. He finally took a small boat and rowed to Thailand. It took him 5 days. His perseverance and loyalty to his family amazed me. Throughout his interview, he shared how his faith in God taught him to be grateful for all circumstances and to make the most of every situation. Mr. Nguyen proves that gratitude has the power to motivate.
Hello, my name is Paul. Dan Barlow has great memories growing up with 4 brothers. They were always playing baseball, basketball, or football. Sometimes they would wrestle and one of them would end up with a cut lip or a black eye. At school, he was bullied because he was the youngest and smallest. While at Catholic school, he learned that communists were teaching that religion was poison. He also watched the news when he was a kid, and he knew what the communists were doing. So he decided he would graduate high school and help end communism.
Hello, it's Katia. For Dan Barlow, 2 of his brothers and a cousin joining the war wasn't a question. It was just what his family did. In fact, someone from Mr. Barlow's family has fought in every war since the Revolutionary War. Tragically, his cousin was killed in action. At the funeral, his aunt begged, "Don't let this happen to you." It was at this point he decided to become an Army Ranger and receive the best training.
While in Vietnam, he met Vietnamese people and their children. He bonded with Scrounger, a kid who bought and sold everything he could, a shy young girl and her mom, and the children he took to the zoo for the very first time. Their gratitude bonded them together, but it also caused him 15 years of grief after the war, as he wondered what must have happened to them.
Hello, my name is Shauna. As Mr. Barlow showed pictures of refugees desperately trying to leave their homes, I nearly cried. I immediately imagined my grandma being one of those people with a sack on a stick over her shoulder, not knowing where to go next. When Dan Barlow set the scene of what was happening at the time, I visualized every moment very well. He explained how some people didn't know where to go or where their relatives had gone. They were panicking and feeling desperation. Their interview was very emotional, but if you really think about what he said, it might make you smile. The thing that made me smile was the peace most refugees found. Through the gratitude projects, I have a better understanding of what my grandma went through. Today, we are even closer. Dan Barlow and the stories he shared are proof that gratitude has the power to bond.
My name is Jimmy. Gratitude has the power to let us appreciate our greatest enemies. Before the Gratitude Project, I thought that war was rough and filled with horror. But now I've learned that war can be a root of success and happiness. Mr. Two had everything as a young man: an education, a successful job, a home, a wife, and children. When the communists won, everything went away. He was in a prisoner of war camp. His home and business were taken. Worst of all, his wife and children were relocated to the countryside, and they somehow had to survive on their own. After years of struggle, Mr. Two and his family had no other choice but to leave Vietnam for hopes of a better life.
Hi, my name is Jesse. Mr. Two's love and gratitude for his family guided him throughout the war. He was proud to serve his country, and like every guy, he was motivated to survive for his family. After his years in a prisoner of war camp, they were able to immigrate to the United States. Mr. Two has great gratitude and considers the USA his second home. I learned from Mr. Two that gratitude is the best thing a man can have.
Hello, my name is Anderson. The Gratitude Project has changed me because it has opened my eyes to a new perspective on the world. I am different for seeing how the Vietnam War happened to our elders. Their experience in gratitude is new for my generation. I predict this new understanding of gratitude will affect our futures. Like Mr. Two, I will prove that gratitude has the power to guide.
Hi, my name is Gabriel. The Gratitude Project allowed me to find out what I never knew before, specifically about my grandparents and the many risks they took to survive. Mrs. Pham's story of providing for her family and bringing food to Mr. Two in their prisoner of war camp had a great impact on me. I realize now that I should be much more thankful for my grandparents and all they did so that I can have my life today.
Hi, my name is Hillary. Mrs. Pham worked so hard for her family when she was without her husband. She used her artistic talent as she hand-painted on women's clothes. That is how she got the money to take care of her family. I have a connection to Mrs. Pham. I love art, painting, and being creative. She makes me realize I should have been more appreciative of my grandparents when they were alive.
Hi. Hi, my name is Kelvin. Hillary from Mr. Carlos' class is actually the person who affected me the most during the Gratitude Project. Her reaction to Mrs. Pham is similar to mine. She remembers wanting to spend more time with her friends instead of her family. Her grandma has since died. Now, she wishes she would have spent more time with her grandma and regrets going with her friends instead. We both realize the value of bonding with our family members. Mrs. Pham proves that gratitude has the power to teach us what is most important.
Hi, my name is Han. Andy McTeague wasn't supposed to be a Navy SEAL. When he was a kid, he was afraid of the water. Through all of his training, though, he learned the key to survival is to stay calm, even when you think there are sharks in the water. Through all of his During the war, he made friends with village children at day and ran dangerous missions at night. Though the war was terrible, we could tell that Andy McTeague really bonded with the Vietnamese people he met.
Hi, my name is Dad. Andy McTeague showed us a side of the Vietnam War we didn't know, specifically how hard the U.S. Navy tried to help South Vietnamese people escape. He showed us photos of soldiers bringing refugees onto aircraft carriers. When there wasn't enough room left on deck, they pushed helicopters that cost millions of dollars into the ocean. There was a mix of sadness and pride when he told us this story. It was important that we know that they tried to save as many of our parents and grandparents as they could. Unfortunately, they couldn't save everyone, but they tried. I hope Andy McTeague knows how grateful we are for trying.
Hi, my name is Angelina. Andy McTeague is one of my heroes. Today, he and his dog Katie train service dogs for veterans. He explained that many returning servicemen and women have a difficult time remaining calm. They have a condition called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. It is his goal to take the D out of PTSD. Andy McTeague proves that gratitude has the power to not only heal, but to change a person's life.
Hi, my name is Tien. The heart of the Gratitude Project is and always will be veterans and our elders. But there is a group of people to whom we owe much more than our gratitude. This week, we remember all soldiers who gave the last full measure of devotion in service to their country. They sacrificed their lives to make possible the lives we live today. President John F. Kennedy once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." Our challenge now is to live as grateful people.
As you can see, we were greatly impacted by our in-class participants. Their lives prove that gratitude has the power to change a person's perspective, motivate, bond, guide, teach, and heal. It was such a valuable experience as we listened, reflected, and responded together throughout art and writing. But for many of us, it was the conversations with our family elders that transformed us. Though they were hesitant to talk with us at first, our parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles opened up old wounds and in many cases, told their stories firsthand. Grace will now sing for us a Vietnamese song that tells the story of a woman who finds a soldier's hat floating in a river. Though she doesn't know who he is, she thinks of him with love and gratitude for his effort to protect South Vietnam. After that, King will read for us his essay that tells his mom and dad's stories. It is significant to understand that their stories are similar to many of our families. For that reason, our lives prove that gratitude has the power to transform.
Hello, my name is Grace. Today I will sing a Vietnamese song. It's called Người tình không chân dung. And I hope, although some of us can't understand it, we hope that you know that we express our love for our soldiers who have served for their country.
Ôi nước khác chi mai trời hiền hòa, khác chi bốn mùa em chơi. Có tiếng cười như tên cô bài đứa trẻ, và hơi ấm vòng tay của một người vợ hiền. Phải thế không anh? Trong cái nón sắc của anh, mặt trời vẫn còn đó ban ngày, và ban đêm mặt trăng hằn muôn muôn. Chiều chiều vì sao vẫn còn đó, tất cả vẫn còn đó, vẫn còn đó. Nhưng anh bây giờ anh ở đâu? Có nén ương vẫn còn gọi tên anh trong mưa dầm. Tên anh nghe như tiếng thở dài của lòng đất mẹ. Vào tháng 3 tên anh lớn trong tiếng sóng đầu mùa mưa, nghe như tiếng gầm phong nộ đến từ cuối trời. Hỡi người chiến sĩ đã để lại cái nón sắt bên bờ lâu dài này, anh ơi, anh
My mom was 7 when she and my uncle and my grandfather escaped Vietnam by boat. When they first set out, the communists spotted them and began to chase. They panicked and the majority of their food and water fell into the ocean. A week later, all their supplies ran out. To survive, they had to drink their own urine. During this terrible time, 2 passengers died, an old lady and a baby. Both were thrown into the ocean. A few days later, a French boat rescued them and took them to Singapore. It was 1 year before my great-grandma sponsored them to go to the United States. Though they were now free, life was very hard. My mom and her brother had to dig in dumpsters to find clothes and shoes. My grandfather worked 7 days a week and 15 hours a day in a restaurant. To make matters worse, he was paid a lower wage than U.S. citizens. At this time, my mom was about 10 years old, and it was her responsibility to take care of her younger brother and her grandma. Eventually, my grandfather decided to quit his job and become self-employed by doing construction. 6 years later, they heard that my grandma and aunts had escaped from Vietnam and were in a Philippine refugee camp. My grandfather wasted no time in sponsoring my grandma and aunts to come to America. When my mom was just 11, in 1975, my dad was 3 years old. His father was a fisherman and a carpenter. One day, when my dad was 9, the family tried to escape, but the communists caught them. Luckily, he was a fisherman, so they didn't have evidence they were trying to escape. 6 months later, the whole family went on to sea on a boat, pretending to go fishing. For several hours, the boat was chased by pirates from Thailand. My grandfather turned off the lights and the engine. After a while, they lost the pirates. Next came a huge storm, with waves double the size of the boat. Some people were praying to Jesus, others were chanting to the Buddha, and some were crying. My dad doesn't know how he survived that day. but for him it was a miracle. A few weeks passed and supplies ran out. Finally, a giant boat appeared out of nowhere and rescued them. My dad remembers the sounds of people speaking French. As refugees, they spent time in Malaysia and Philippines before arriving in the United States. By then, my dad was 10 years old. Like my mom, life for my dad and his family was hard. When they first arrived in America, my dad and his siblings were placed into different schools. There was no one to help with Vietnamese translations, and they struggled to learn English. Thankfully, it wasn't so hard for his parents to fit in because at the time there were places for them to work at. The Gratitude Project has changed my perspective of my parents. Now when I look at them, I see survivors and heroes. Yes, they are my heroes. The risks they took are proof. Knowing that my parents went through what they did is shocking to me. The crazy thing is, I knew none of this before the Gratitude Project. My experience proves that gratitude gives us the power to bond.
Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow.
The Gratitude Project challenged us to explore the power of gratitude. Together, we discovered gratitude can heal, motivate, bond, and ultimately allow a person to look back on his or her life with a totally new perspective.
I never realized the Gratitude Project would change me. It wasn't just about art and writing, it was about the experience over time. 6 interview participants shared with us their wisdom, stories, and personal feelings of gratitude. I have new respect for my elders and a new perspective on the world.
Lieutenant Colonel Robert J. Friend is a Tuskegee Airman and United States veteran. He served during World War II and the Korean and Vietnam Wars. When we asked him about his greatest challenge, I thought he would tell us about facing racism. Instead, he reminded us about the most painful part of war.
The challenge is trying to make adjustments when people were lost. We did 4 pilots to our 10. Pretty soon we lost Hancock, Dixon, we lost them. We sang and go put somebody else into that spot. It's hard to accept the loss of a friend.
At 97 years old, Lieutenant Colonel Friend is a living history lesson. He reminds us that citizenship is not only a responsibility, it is a privilege.
When I look at a class like this, I say, future's okay. It's going to be in good hands. I can see that.
Mr. Nguyen served as an interpreter for the United States Special Forces during the Vietnam War. In April 1975, he was given the chance to escape to America. His decision to stay behind with his family caused him to be put into a prisoner of war camp. It was 3 years before he could escape.
Finally, I had to use a very, very small riverboat. I rowed it all the way from Vietnam to Thailand.
We learned valuable lessons about faith, devotion to family, and the importance of avoiding war.
People, they belong to whatever country, whatever race, white you are, yellow you are, black you are, whatever. Don't ever let the war help us.
Dan Barlow is a former United States Army Ranger and veteran of the Vietnam War. Joining the military was never a question when he was growing up.
I knew I was going to go in the military. It was just part of what we do in our family.
During his interview, Dan Barlow shared with us the challenges and rewards of leadership.
The biggest challenge was to make sure that the people that were under my command felt that I would never ask them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself. There was a day when I went out there that I thought if I got wounded, my guys would pull back. I knew they'd come for me. Everybody knew that if somebody got hurt, we wouldn't leave them. Policy is no man's left behind.
When we interviewed our elders, many of us found out that our parents and grandparents were refugees of the Vietnam War. Dan Barlow's stories of this traumatic time remind us of the sacrifices that were made on our behalf.
This is what we saw when people were forced out of their homes. They had to make the toughest decision in their life, leave their family and leave everything they own behind with hopes that you would be sitting here today in this environment.
Before the war, Mr. Tu was an engineer and a family man. In 1968, he joined the South Vietnamese Army Signal Corps. When the war ended, he was sent to a communist re-education camp, also known as a prisoner of war camp. Even through the hardship, Mr. Tu was proud to serve his country.
A good citizen is always proud to serve his country, and in the army, after the war, I was put into prison. And with 3 years in prison, I was allowed to go to the United States with my whole family.
Mr. Tu taught us that gratitude is the best thing a man can have. He is thankful for his family, freedom, and the United States of America. His hope is that one day Vietnam will experience freedom and human rights for everyone.
Mrs. Pham is not only a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. She's an accomplished artist. Married to Mr. Tu for 56 years, they experienced the hardship of war together. At the end of the war, the communists took their home, their business, and all their possessions. With Mr. Tu in a prisoner of war camp, she kept her family alive by planting potatoes and painting traditional dresses for the women in the villages.
Tôi chỉ có biết buôn bán và đi về thì đón con đi học, xong nấu ăn, rồi chồng tôi ở tù, nhà tôi chỉ biết đi thăm nuôi, tức là một năm đó, họ cho có 3 lần thì tôi phải nấu, tôi làm tất cả những cái đồ ăn mà nó giống như là nó khô,
We are grateful for Mrs. Pham's example of determination, strength, and creativity. And yes, Mrs. Pham still paints.
Andy McTeague is a U.S. Navy SEAL and veteran of the Vietnam War. During the day, he and his team played soccer with village children. During the night, they ran dangerous missions fighting the North Vietnamese. Survival depended upon staying calm and keeping a sense of humor.
Stay calm and so through anything.
We wanted to know his advice on the origins and impact of war. His perspective challenged us to be responsible and aware as future voters.
Old men in suits send young men off to war, you have to know. So pay attention to who you will kill when you're old enough to vote.
Can you connect for us your sense of gratitude and the work you and Katie do today with other veterans?
I train service dogs for veterans, and what these dogs do is what I mentioned before. A lot of the veterans come back and they can't cool them down. That's what these dogs do.
Finally, Andy McTeague reminds us of the heart of the Gratitude Project. We must never forget the pain and suffering of our elders. We must remain grateful for their sacrifices and the role the United States played in bringing our families to safety and freedom.
We couldn't bring everybody. And there's famous pictures of us taking people off the roof of the embassy and flying out to an aircraft carrier, and then all of a sudden we didn't have enough room on the aircraft carrier, and we are literally taking helicopters and pushing them off the side of the aircraft carrier to make more room for more of your grandparents. Couldn't save everybody, but we tried.
The Gratitude Project has given us an opportunity to make connections between historical events and the people who lived through them. The in-class interviews gave us a shared experience that bonded us together as a class. Individually, many of us were profoundly moved as we learned of our own family histories for the very first time.
When I interviewed my mom and dad, I learned of the terrible struggles my mom's family had to endure. As a baby, my mom was the youngest of 12 children. When they escaped Vietnam, my grandparents could only take half their children on the boat. Of those who remained behind, less than half survived. This year, I learned that gratitude has the power to bond. In my family, it bonded one generation to another. For this, I will always be grateful.
I always been proud of my family. But when I heard for the first time how my mommy was pregnant with me when she and my daddy walked to the United States, my heart overflowed. They did this great thing so that I will have a better life. I never loved my parents more. Gracias, mami y papi.
Gratitude has power to show inner strength we never knew we had. Those we interviewed had to face danger, accept grief, remain calm, hold on to faith, endure captivity, ignore racism, and in the face of extreme hardship, embrace creativity and resourcefulness. Gratitude is what separates humans from other living things. Ultimately, it is gratitude that gives us the freedom to live our best lives.
So if there's ever a question, why we do what we do, there it is. So thank you. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we did. We really, literally did kind of a half of a dress rehearsal this morning, so for us to sit back and enjoy it, wasn't that just the best? So sixth graders, you were the stars today. My class, Mr. Keller's class, Miss Fleming's kids, thank you so much. You really accomplished. Can we all applaud? I know that there's a few people that we would like to have Dr. Welcome up in just a moment. I invited our school board president, Lon Nguyen, to come and just say, address, for those of you who are parents in the crowd, I know that this, in education right now, there are choices and there's changes and there's all sorts of things, but the depth of our pride as teachers, Mr. Keller and I, that we have working for Garden Grove Unified, we feel incredibly supported at all times. And I know a project like this, there's a lot of places it wouldn't exist. People are too much, they're paying attention to things like Common Core and all of that has to happen, but this can happen alongside of it. So it comes from our board members to everyone here who works on campus. We're a team, to our wonderful union. So I just wanted him to say hello and thank you, and parents to put a face to a name. We do have a board that guides us, and so Mr. Nguyen, will you say just a couple of things for us?
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. I don't think I can follow the powerful performance by our students without spoiling the event today. But I will try. Please give me the credit for trying. First of all, I'm always admired and I'm always amazed of the initiative and creative nature of this project is over the years. And I don't know how to explain it, but it just, it's very rare that we see when students learn and practice, and we see the teacher teach and students learn and practice at the same time. And it's very difficult to put it all together in a lesson plan like that. And today, what you saw today was only a snippet of the little thing that you see in the showcase 1 hour. But I can assure you that the learning takes place in the children every hour, every day of the time. Then they grown up knowing what they have learned. That's very important. And I ask for your permission to claim that as the Garden Grove way. And as a Golden District, I see the good thing, I take credit for that. it is what it is. And also to Mr. DeCarlos and Mr. Keller, I'm amazed. We often hear that it takes a village to raise the children. But we hear that as an abstract concept. We don't know how it works out, how it go about doing out there. But this wonderful teachers here, Mr. DeCarlos, Mr. Keller, they read that into a lesson plan so that the children, we all participating in it without knowing it, that we in a lesson plan engineered by this teacher here. And with that, it's very important. Another way of the Garden Grove way of how the teacher work their way around to implement the plan. And she mentioned the common core thing, whether it's like, what is that to many people? But this lesson plan go far and beyond that. And then what we're supposed to do in the new state standard, that's a common core that we know it. And speaking to all of you, we are the builders here. The fact that we come here to celebrate, recognize, and honor our students, our teachers, we take our part into recognizing what is important for our students. And with that, I'm grateful to be a member of the board that help our students, have teachers to do that. And I'm grateful for everyone here to come here to show your appreciation of what's going on in our school. And again, thank you very much, Mr. DeCarlos and Mr. Keller, and also especially our students for being the star that you are, and to showcase that we all can be proud of what you do here for our district today. And thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. And Ms. An, would you like to join us? Thank you. And it is quite, I don't know if the children understand the significance and importance of having a representative here on behalf of our state senator, Janet Nguyen, but we do live in a wonderful state, and to have their support is huge to us. So for the second year, we're welcoming someone from Janet Nguyen's office, and we are greatly appreciative, so thank you.
Good morning. Thank you. It is an honor for me to be here. And on behalf of Senator Janet Nguyen, we would like to thank you for providing students an opportunity to foster gratitude and understanding through an enriching and interactive education experience. On behalf of Senator Janet Nguyen, I would like to present the California Senate Certificate to John A. Murdy, Elementary. And it is my honor to present the California State Senate Certificate to Lieutenant Colonel Robert Franz. And it is my honor to present to Mr. Luke Nguyen. And to Second Lieutenant Dan Barlow. And to Second Lieutenant Mr. Khan-Tu. And to the wonderful Mrs. Hai Pham. And last but not least, to Mr. Andy McTeague. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. And since we are extending our gratitude, we have something. I think a few of our students are going to come. Mr. Keller, will you help with that? Yes. Certainly every student has played a part, and we would not have had this happen unless they showed up for school every day. But there are a few people who help us. I don't know if anyone realized if this whole principaling thing doesn't work out for Mrs. Griffith. I know she's hating me right now for saying this, but that movie that we just watched, she had only ever before that made a PowerPoint. And she learned how to do that so that we could have a movie this year. So Mrs. Griffith, thank you. I always say, how appropriate. She's standing there with the camera in hand right now. But one of my dearest friends happens to also kind of be a good photographer. Every photo, and I'm thinking we're way above 10,000 in the 3 years that we've done the Gratitude Project. Linda Lang Pierce was saying, well, you've got to carry your hand. She is a good friend. She volunteers her time to be here every time we have an interview subject and every time we have an event. She is just a treasure. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for my family. My daughter's from driving from Santa Barbara, son from driving out into Temecula. Everybody, thank you very much for coming. My dear husband who's putting, do I get to go to bed after this? Yes. Yes, I do. So what you see up here are honored guests. This year we did something a little bit different. You will see the paintings, they should be explained. One of the beautiful things about the project is it is student-driven. The questions are generated by the students. So many pages of writing is generated by the students. And of course their art. You saw it on the screen up here and on the paintings. What you may or may not realize is they vet it all. Towards the end, as we've kind of processed and they've written and they've done art, it's a wonderful few days where they sit in small groups and they share each other's writing. The writing is done anonymously, so they don't know, but they read it and they share and they talk, and they really come up with the writing and then also the art that is most representative of the project. And it's them that has guided. And every year, long after this celebration, I take the artwork that they choose and I project it and I create a canvas, and then they sit and paint. And it takes those, and the days towards the end of the school, they just have this quiet time. So nobody's really ever seen the canvases from 2015 and 2016. But this year, because our celebration was later, they were able to create the painting. And it really is a wonderful time, and my favorite, where I listen to their little conversations as they paint, and many have spent many hours after school helping us get it done. So thank you. And so guests and honored guests, we would like you to each have a copy of the painting, and then of course we have a certificate for participating in this year's Gratitude Project. So with that, we close our program, and we ask that you would please stay for refreshments and visiting, and thank you so very much, everyone, for coming.